Picture this scenario. Someone just filled out your Google form and they instantly receive an offer email right on their Gmail. Sounds cool, right? So hello everyone, welcome to Pabbly. So in this video, we are going to learn how to send instant offer emails via Google form and SendGrid, and we are going to build this automation by using Pabbly Connect. So as you can see, our automation starts with the trigger, that is Google form. So as soon as a new form submission will be received, it will reflect an action, that is sending mail by using SendGrid. So if you also want to build this no coding automation, then let me take you towards my screen. Alright, so here on my screen you can see I have integrated two applications, that is Google Forms and SendGrid. So now let's start building this automation. But before that, let's see this automation in action. So now let's move on to my Google Forms. So here you can see this is the form I have created named as lead form, and now I am going to fill this form for receiving my new lead over the Google Form. So here I am going to provide my first name as Smart, last name as user, email as smartuser@pabblytudes.com, and the phone number as well. And afterwards I am going to select the product in which I am interested. So here I am going to select this second product, that is Pabbly Connect. Now let's submit this form, and here you can see my form has been successfully submitted. Now let's move on to my Gmail account to check whether I am receiving an email over there or not. So here you can see in my Gmail account, I am receiving this email having the subject exclusive offer just for you smart user, and here you can observe that I am getting the same name which I have recently entered over my Google form. So now you can see within some seconds my Google form leads has received a offer email. So now I am going to show you how you can create this setup for scaling up your own business. So for that you have to access Pabbly Connect, and for accessing the Pabbly Connect you just have to type its URL over the new tab, that is pabbly.com/connect. And once you will enter the URL, you will be getting the landing page of Pabbly, where you can see two options, that is sign in and sign up free. So if you are a new user, you can simply click over this sign up free, but if you are an existing user, you can simply click over this sign in. And if you sign up your account for free over the Pabbly Connect, you get 100 free tasks every month for practicing Pabbly Connect. Now before moving on forwards toward the Pabbly Connect, I am going to tell you about Pabbly Community. So here you can see this is the page of Pabbly Community, where automation users, marketers and business owners gather to share their ideas, ask questions and get relevant updates regarding using the Pabbly applications. So you can also join Pabbly Community now and grow your business with us. And if you wish to join the Pabbly Community, you can find link in the description given below. Now let's move on to my Pabbly Connect again, and here I am going to simply click over this sign in. And once you finish your sign up, you will be getting this all Pabbly apps page, where you can see these are the products provided by Pabbly. And as we are going to integrate two applications, that is Google Form and SendGrid, we will be using this app, that is Pabbly Connect, which can integrate different applications and start automating your work. So for automating at this task, we have to access it by clicking on this Access Now button, and we will be landed to the dashboard page of Pabbly Connect, which can be seen here. And on this dashboard page, you can see these are the folders I have created, and inside these folders I have created many workflows by integrating different applications. So if you also want to create your own folder, you simply have to click over this create a new folder button, and here you will be getting this dialog box where you have to provide the folder name, and afterwards if you want you can even select the parent folder as well. And at last you just have to click over this create button and your folder will be created. Now I am going to create a workflow. So for that you simply have to click over this create workflow button, and here you will be getting this option for selecting the workflow builder. So here we are getting two workflow builder, that is beta, which is modern, faster and more flexible, and another workflow builder we are getting is classic, which will provide you stable and familiar approach. So here I am going to use this newly launched workflow builder beta. So for that you simply have to click over this select button, and you will be getting this dialog box where you have to provide the workflow name. So now I am going to provide a name to my workflow here. So here I am providing it the name send offer emails to Google Form leads. Now I am going to select my folder as automation. Now let's click over this create button, and here you can see we are receiving this pop-up, and we are successfully landed to a workflow page where you can observe this option of adding the trigger. Now you might be wondering, what is this trigger? So trigger is our first application, or the application which is going to initiate initiate a workflow. So in this case, I want to initiate my workflow as soon as I receive a new lead over my Google form. So now you might have got that I'm going to use my trigger app as Google form. So now let's click over this add trigger button, and here we are getting this trigger setup page where I'm going to search for the Google form. So now let's type its name, and here you can see I'm getting this application, so I'm going to select it, and afterwards I'm going to select my app event as new response received. Now let's click over this connect button for building the connection, and here you can see we are receiving this webhook URL with the steps for pasting this webhook URL. So this webhook URL is going to act as a bridge between Google Form and Pabbly Connect for building the connection. So now let's copy this webhook URL and let's move on towards the Google Form which I have created. So here you can see this is the form I have created named as lead form, which can be seen here, and now you just have to go to responses, and here you can see that we are getting this option for view in sheets, which you have to select, and you will be redirected to the sheet which is connected to your Google form. And we are redirected to the Google Sheet as Google Sheet is the native integration of Google Form, and now here we have to paste the webhook URL. So for that you just have to go to extensions, and here you can see we are getting this option for add-ons, and on the add-ons you are getting this option that is get add-ons, which you have to select, and you will be landed to the Google Workspace Marketplace, which can be seen here. And here you have to search for the Pabbly Connect webhook. So now let's type it, and here you can see I'm getting this option which I'm going to select, and here you can see I'm getting this Pabbly Connect webhook here which is already installed. So you have to firstly install it, and afterwards again you have to go to extensions, and here you can see I'm getting this option for Pabbly Connect webhook, and on this Pabbly Connect webhooks you can see I'm getting this option that is initial setup, which you have to select, and you will be landed to the initial setup dialog box which can be seen here. And here you have to provide the webhook URL which you have recently received from your Pabbly Connect. So now I'm going to paste the webhook URL over here, and afterwards it is asking me to enter the trigger column. So trigger column is basically the last data column of our Google Sheet. So here you can see my last data column is F. So here I'm going to enter my trigger column as F, and now let's click over this submit button, and here you can see we are getting this pop-up which says setup configured successfully. Now let's move on to my Pabbly Connect, and here you can see it is waiting for the webhook response. So for providing the webhook response we have to do the test submission, and for doing the test submission we have to fill our lead form. So now let's go to our lead form again, and now I am going to fill this form again. So here I have filled this form providing first name demo, last name user, email demo@pabblytudes.com, phone number, and the product that is Pabbly chat flow. Now I am going to submit this form, and here you can see my form has been successfully submitted. Now let's move on to our Google Sheet to check whether we are getting the response over there or not. So here you can see in my Google Sheet I am successfully receiving the response. Now I am going to send the test data for doing the test submission. So now let's click over this send test, and here you can see my test data has been sent successfully. Now let's move on to my Pabbly Connect to check whether we are receiving the response over there or not. So here you can see in my Pabbly Connect I am successfully receiving this response, that is response A, with all the fields which I have recently entered over my lead form. Now let's move on to my Google Sheet again for one more action, that is send on event. Now you might be thinking what is a send on event? So you have to enable send on event so that you don't have to send your test data again and again, so that your data can automatically get sent to Pabbly Connect. So now let's go to extensions again, and on the Pabbly Connect webhooks I'm going to enable this send on event, and here you can see it's working and it will be enabled soon. So here you can see in my extensions it is enabled. Now let's move on to my Pabbly Connect again, and here as we have received the response I'm going to send emails to my leads. So for that I'm going to add actions tab. So for adding our action application you just have to click over this add new actions tab button, and here we are landed to this action setup page where I'm going to search for the SendGrid, as I'm going to send emails to my leads by using SendGrid. So here you can see I'm getting this application, so I'm going to select it, and afterwards I'm going to select my app event as send an email, as I'm going to send emails through SendGrid. Now let's click over this connect button, and here we are landed to this SendGrid connection page, where if you want to build your new connection, then follow the steps which I'm going to show you. So now let's click over this add new connection, and here we are getting a new connection name, and afterwards it is asking me to enter the token. So for getting the token, you can even take the help of this help desk, which will define all the necessary steps for getting this token. But now I am going to show the steps for getting your token. So now let's move on to my SendGrid account with me, and on the sidebar you can see this option of settings which you have to select, and here you can get this API keys option. Now let's select it, and here we are landed to this page where I'm going to add my own API key. So now let's click over this create API key button, and here you have to provide the API key name. So now I'm going to provide my API key name as Google Form key. So here I have provided it, and afterwards you have to allow the full access. Now let's click over this create and view, and here we are getting our API key. So now let's copy this API key, and now let's move on towards our Pabbly Connect. So here I'm going to paste the token which I have recently received from SendGrid. Now let's click over this save button, and here our connection has been created successfully, and we are getting some of the fields. So the first field we are getting is for entering the send to email. So now you might be thinking that I'm going to manually enter my lead's email address, but no, I'm going to map all these details. Now you might be thinking, what is this mapping? So mapping is basically inserting the data from the previous step so that you don't have to enter your values again and again, as mapping makes the field dynamic. So here I'm going to map the email address of my lead from the response which I am receiving from Google Form, as this is my previous step, and the process of mapping is simple. You just have to select the field which you want to map, and from here you have to select the application where you are receiving the data. So here I'm going to select Google Form, and here you can see I'm getting this email address which I am going to map, and now it is asking me to enter the subject. So now let's enter the email subject over here. So here I have entered this subject, and after this sentence I am going to map the name of my lead. So now let's map it from the response. So here I'm going to map the first name, and afterwards I'm going to provide the space, and I'm going to map my last name. So here I have mapped the name of my lead, and these fields will be dynamic, means these are going to change with every new lead received or every new response received from your Google Form. So now you don't have to do any single work, as this automation is going to do all your tasks. Now afterwards it's asking me to enter the from email address, and here you can see this note which says email address must be associated with your SendGrid account. So now let's move on to my SendGrid account for getting this from email address, and here on my SendGrid account, on the sidebar you can see this option of marketing which you have to select, and here you can see this option which is senders which you have to select, and you will be landed to this sender management page, and here you can see I'm getting this from and reply to email address. So now let's copy it and paste it over the Pabbly Connect. So now I'm going to paste this from email address over here. Now the next field we are getting which is asking me to enter the from name. So now let's enter the from name manually. So here I'm going to enter the from name, that is Pabbly. So now let's type it, and this field will be static, means this is not going to change with every new responses. And now we are getting this reply to email address. So now let's copy the reply to email address from SendGrid account, and here I'm getting this reply to email address which I'm going to paste over the Pabbly Connect. So here I have provided it, and now the next field we are getting which is for the content type. So from this drop down you can select your content type, that is plain text or HTML as well. Now at last we are getting this field, that is content value. So now let's enter the content of our email address over here. So here I'm done with the email content also. Now after this word hi, I'm going to map the name of my lead. So now let's map the name. So here I'm going to select the Google Form, and from the response I'm going to map the first name and provide the space and map the last name. And here we have provided the name of our lead also. Now let's click over the save and send test request, and here you can see I'm getting a positive response which demonstrate that an email might be sent to our lead. So for checking it, let's move on to my Gmail account with me. So here you can see in my Gmail account I'm successfully receiving this email having the subject exclusive offer just for you demo user. So now you can observe that I'm getting the same subject and the same name which I have recently entered over my Google Form. So this shows that by using Pabbly Connect you can even send personalized emails to your lead. So if you also want to create this automation for scaling up your business which will automate email sending to your Google Form leads within some seconds. So what are you waiting for? Start using Pabbly Connect now and stay tuned to our YouTube channel for learning more about Pabbly and creating many more amazing automations like this. And if this video is really helpful, then hit the like and subscribe button, and I have added the link of the workflow in the description for your reference, so make sure to check it out. So thank you for watching this video. Not only this automation, you can build many more integrations like this by just using Pabbly Connect. So if you have any doubt, you can mail us at support@pabbly.com, and if you have any queries, you can post it over the forums.pabbly.com. And if you have any pricing related issue, then you can visit the URL given over here. So start using Pabbly Connect for free now.